5 years. 182 Friday reports. More than 1,000 cups of morning coffee, poured without haste. Nathan Bell's life during these years was not loud, but it was accurate. Like his financial algorithms. He taught. He was consulting. He ate the same breakfasts, wrote down the same phrase in his diary. Check the templates. Trust the numbers. He had never traveled to Richmond South, where there was a low-security prison where his ex-wife was serving time. He did not open the letters, did not respond to rare requests from lawyers. In his new life, Dana's name was a line in the archive. But everything changed on Thursday. He opened the door of his modest home in Norfolk, waiting for a courier with books for students. Instead, she was standing in the doorway. Older, exhausted, but with the same eyes that reflected a hurricane, only now subdued. "Hey, Nathan." He didn't answer right away. I was just watching. The words didn't come. Only the old algorithms in his head. Incoming request. Data inconsistent. Suspicious activity. I was released early for your cooperation, for the behavior behind... What do you want? He interrupted. I'm not after the money. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Maybe she should, though, but I didn't come because of myself. He took a step back. The gesture is not an invitation, but a gesture of a boundary. One person I was sitting with. I'm sure he was imprisoned by mistake. His name is Javier, former programmer. He worked in a private medical network. They were hacked, they accused him. But he says he tried to identify the vulnerability himself. He didn't have your system, but he was creating something similar. You want me to help someone I don't even know? No. She lowered her eyes. I want you to look at the numbers. Only on them, without emotion. It's just the way you do it. He was silent. He doesn't have anyone, Nathan. And I owe you. I can't make up for what I've done. But maybe I can at least help someone else not to break the system. He closed the door halfway. Leave the documents. I'll take a look. Thank you, she whispered. There was a folder on the doorstep. Black, simple, like his new life. He took it into the house, didn't open it for a long time. Then I turned on the monitor, took out a cup of coffee, and launched the interface of the old system. One line in the report made my fingers tremble. Anomaly confirmed. The action pattern is a match with the warning level 3. Violation of the logic of internal access. He leaned back in his chair. Maybe Dana was telling the truth again. He hadn't slept most of the night. File by file, record by record, Nathan went through the structure of the internal logs from the clinic where Javier worked. The medical security system was surprisingly primitive. Activity logs were kept manually, and digital signatures were not synchronized with servers. Nevertheless, he found the first oddities. Login sessions that match in time but originate from different IP addresses. Unreasonably high activity at night. And most importantly, the security configuration change carried out on behalf of Javier. At the moment when he was officially in the doctor's office, undergoing an examination. The system wasn't lying, she was just too stupid to notice. In the early morning, sitting in an armchair, he typed the phrase on a piece of paper. Preliminary conclusion. The probability of external intrusion into the system is high. The accusation of deliberate hacking is not supported by the actions of Javier himself. He looked at the folder again. There was a name written in her handwriting on the sticker. He could still recognize her handwriting. Part of him was annoyed that she had invaded his space again. Some of them don't. In the afternoon, he sent a letter to the District Digital Examination Committee enclosing the first findings. Then, to the clinic's lawyer, indicated in the documents. The answer came faster than he expected. We have long suspected that something was wrong with Javier's case, but there was a lack of technical independent evaluation. Your name is known. We will be grateful for your cooperation. For the first time in a long time, he felt what he had once called the meaning. To use his skill not only to defend himself, but to help. And in the evening, she was standing on the doorstep again. Did you look? Yes. And he stepped aside, neither inviting nor hindering. She came in. You were right, he said. And I'll help. Not you, but him. She nodded. There is a shadow of gratitude in his eyes, but without tears. Without emotion. Just a fact. Thanks. He looked at her, long. But you're not coming back into my life anyway. I know. And don't seek forgiveness. It may not be there. I'm not looking. She left, and the door closed behind her. But inside Nathan, for the first time in 5 years, something shifted. Not back, not forward, but to the side where the choice reappeared. And the meaning. The next day, he got a call. Mr. Bell? This is Marcus Ames. I'm Javier's lawyer. We have received your report. Are you his protection? Yes. And now we have a chance. What you wrote is a precedent. Will the court accept your calculations? They are based on open data and comparable logs. If the judge is not an idiot, he will accept. Then may I ask you to give an official opinion? Perhaps to testify? Nathan was silent for a long time. He didn't like the courts. He didn't like high-profile cases. He built his life on keeping the system quiet. But maybe silence is no longer the solution? Send the documents. I'll start preparing. Thank you. You can't even imagine how much you've changed the course of this case. Nathan closed his laptop, got up, and went outside. The wind was coming from the north. Autumn, dry. He stood in the shadow of his house and felt like he was back in the game. Not for revenge, not for the sake of justice. For the sake of something deeper, perhaps for the sake of the belief that the system can not only catch, but also protect. He looked up at the sky. There were no clouds or sun. Over the next 2 weeks, Nathan's house was once again filled with the rhythm he had long forgotten. Monitors with logs, mapping tables, anomaly diagrams, and everything came to life. His system was not operating in protection mode, but in rescue mode. He wasn't thinking about Dana. Almost. Sometimes in silence, he found himself comparing her handwriting in the notes with the way she used to take notes in his reports. But these were not thoughts of pain, but of old memories. Work displaced everything. Javier's defender, Marcus Ames, was sending more and more data. Nathan built a time axis of events. The actions attributed to Javier did not coincide in time with his authorized sessions. Moreover, access was often made from regions where Javier was not physically located. Fake DNS tunnels were used, a technique that the average user would not use. In the evening, after 2 days of almost no sleep, he formed a conclusion. The actions that led to the data leak in the clinic were carried out using substitution of digital identifiers and imitation of user actions. Technical traces indicate the presence of a fake intervention. The probability of Javier's involvement in initiating the attack is low. He sent the report. An hour later, Marcus called. It's gold, Nathan. You saved a man. No, he replied calmly. I just read the numbers. Everything else was done by the truth. Pause. But I'd like you to say that in court. Nathan was silent. You know, over the years I've learned to hide behind systems. They are more honest than people, but maybe it's time to speak for yourself. Do you agree? I'm going. Marcus exhaled. Then get ready. The hearing is in 5 days, and there will be a press office. Javier is not an ordinary prisoner. He worked with contracts in the hospital system of the Ministry of Defense. Nathan froze. This goes far beyond the limits of a private clinic. Exactly, and you just started opening up a federal hole. He passed out. And for the first time in all this time, Nathan was afraid. Not for himself, for how deep things could go. On Saturday morning, Nathan went to Greensville County, where there was a temporary federal prison. He didn't like places like this. Controls, metal detectors, glass cabins. Everything seemed not just sterile, but suspiciously polite, as if the system itself was trying to appear humane. Javier was waiting in the meeting room. He was young, in his early 30s. His face was narrow, his hands calloused, but his eyes were clear. There was no hope in them, but there was honesty. "Are you Nathan Bell?" he asked. "Yes." "Do you really believe that I was framed?" "I believe in data, and they say that the access logic has been violated. It's not you." "Thank you. I don't have anyone left. Even my mother doesn't believe it." He says, "Once you've been imprisoned, it means you're guilty." I just wanted to strengthen the system. I took notes, described the vulnerabilities, then bang, arrest. "Did you keep the data?" "Only on the server. It was erased. But I took a snapshot of the directory structure." He took out a piece of paper with drawings from the folder. An access diagram, a sequence of commands. It's strange. That's what Nathan himself did in his youth. I drew when computers were scarce. I'll look into it. Have you worked with a system that concerned the Ministry of Defense? Yes. The clinic had a contract for the treatment of veterans. And someone didn't want me to dig into the routing. I found failures, rearrangement of patients. It's not just a leak. This is a rollback of the budget. Millions. Nathan pursed his lips. He understood that he had stepped into something much bigger than a case of marital infidelity or theft. After leaving the prison, he found a note on the window of his car. Plain paper. "Watch where you're digging. You don't have to read all the templates." He didn't pull it out, just took a picture. Then he got in, started the engine, and turned around for the first time in months to make sure he wasn't being followed. The next 3 days passed in tense silence. Nathan worked from home, almost without going out. He reassembled Javier's archive, restored the logs, and recorded video analysis. Short visual fragments confirming the substitution of access keys. He didn't believe in coincidences, and he certainly didn't believe in coincidences when there were too many of them. On Tuesday, exactly 1 day before the hearing, his system sent an alarm signal for the first time in a long time. An attempt by an external access to his backup in the cloud. The IP address is encrypted, but the session lasted less than 3 seconds, as if they were just checking to see if he was alive. He changed all the passwords, added a new rule. If the login deviates from the registered behavior, automatic notification of the commission and backup recording to the physical storage device. The system has become paranoid, but so is he. Marcus called in the evening. "Everything is ready. Are you absolutely sure?" "After today, yes." "You look tired. Can we reschedule?" "I'm not tired. I'm collected." Pause. "Then they'll try to throw you off balance. They know that you're not just an expert. You're a witness. And I'm also the man who built the system that trapped his own wife." Do you think you can surprise me? Marcus laughed, but there was concern in his voice. Tomorrow, everything will change, Nathan. It won't just be a trial, it will be the beginning of something more. I'm ready. The main thing is that the system holds up. At night, he stared at the monitor for a long time. In the left corner, there is a video from the first alarm. In the right hand corner, there are documents confirming Javier's innocence. And in the center is a screen, black as the code he once wrote in the silence of his living room. The federal district courthouse looked as if it had been built not for justice, but for intimidation. Cold concrete, cameras on every corner, a steel arch at the entrance. Nathan went through the frame, showed the documents, signed 3 forms, as an expert. Not the accused, but I still felt the weight. Marcus was waiting for him in Hall 6A where everything was ready. A projector, printouts, and sync screens. There was a prosecutor, 3 jurors, and a judge in a severe black robe. On the bench next to Javier in a gray shirt and with a worn notebook in his hands. It's okay, Marcus said. Just talk the way you know how. When Nathan was called, he did not delay. From the very first minutes, he brought up a visualization on the screen. What the system looked like at the time of the attack, how the timestamps changed, and how sessions were duplicated in an abnormal rhythm. He spoke simply, without decorations. Every word is like a number, precise. The leak occurred due to the introduction of a Trojan session, he explained. A technology was used that disguises the actions of an attacker as an authorized user. But the behavioral profile did not match the usual access pattern. Moreover, the activity took place at an hour when the defendant was physically in the medical unit under observation. The judge listened attentively. Does your system detect the difference from the template? Not only defines it, it builds a user profile based on a variety of parameters. Dial speed, sequence of actions, reactions to failures. This template cannot be faked with a simple login. Are you claiming that the actions for which the defendant is accused were committed by another person? I'm not claiming. I'm showing that the digital footprint is not a coincidence. This is a substitution, and it's obvious. The judge nodded. The jury took notes. The prosecutor stood up. Mr. Bell, have you ever personally met with the defendant before this case? Minus no. Are you not interested in his release? I'm interested in data that tells the truth. Everything else is none of my business. Do you understand that your analysis can change the course of the investigation? That's why I'm here. There was a pause in the audience. Then the judge thanked Nathan and dismissed him from his seat. He returned to his chair. Marcus whispered, "You just turned the case around 180 degrees. I just let the system do the talking." But he felt that there was still more to come. But something much more. After Nathan's speech, the court announced a short break. Javier was taken to a separate room. He didn't say a word, just nodded gratefully as the guard led him past. Nathan went outside. The air was sharp and humid, like before a thunderstorm. He took out his phone to check his messages. One is from an unknown number. Not all numbers are your allies. Some are a reason for silence. He took a screenshot, encrypted it, and forwarded it to Marcus. He answered almost immediately. A threat, a straight line, don't ignore it. Inside the building, half an hour later, the judge returned and announced that, as a result of the expert opinion, the defense gets the right to call an additional witness. the system administrator of the clinic. It was a precedent. Usually such statements were dismissed as technical details, but not now. An hour later, Derek Mason, the admin, was speaking. He confirmed, "We had problems with internal logs that day. I didn't know that the logs were being overwritten manually. But then I saw that one of the accounts had increased access, although her rights had been curtailed a month earlier." "Who was that?" "The W's account, Shields. Dismissed employee. His access should have been revoked." Nathan turned abruptly to Marcus. "Shields. I've seen this log, but it was listed in the database as archived. That is inactive." "Is this a server-level substitution?" Marcus asked. "Maybe. Or someone was bypassing the channel. Do you still have copies of the magazines?" "Yes, but I was afraid to use them. Too much." Suspiciously, Nathan stood up. He went to the edge of the table and addressed the judge. "Your Honor, I ask permission to check these logs personally. My software can recover deleted lines from cache fragments." "Permission granted, but only within this session. It connected directly from the laptop. The fingers moved quickly. The screen shows a stream of lines, code snippets, and hashes. After 4 minutes, slow down. Then, a list of recovered transactions." "This is it," he whispered. "They used a closed-access route through bypassing the API. This, an internal attack." "Who?" He froze. "I'll tell you now." He brought up the name hidden under the login. W. Shields. William Shields, a Defense Department systems contractor. The contract was canceled in 2020 for attempting unauthorized access to hospital systems. There was a commotion in the hall. "We can confirm that the login was used 3 weeks after the dismissal," added Nathan. "And in a system where he shouldn't have had a license." The judge tapped the gavel. "Silence in the hall. Go ahead." He introduced the Trojan through a backup reporting module, and all the activity attributed to Javier actually came from an encrypted session linked to his old keys. Moreover, the routes showed that the requests came from IP addresses registered in the contractor's former premises at the Langley base. Marcus stood up. "I ask for the official entry of these data into the protocol." "Allowed," the judge said. "And I am suspending the hearing until I receive a response from the military prosecutor's office." Nathan sat down. My breath caught. He could feel the tension pulsing in his temples. It wasn't just a confirmation of innocence. It was an accusation against a man who worked with the government. At that moment, the door of the hall opened. 2 men entered wearing formal suits and badges. "Federal agents, we need to immediately remove the laptop and copies of all recovered logs. This case concerns national security." The judge nodded. Nathan didn't resist. "Everything is saved on an external drive. Here he is." One of the agents looked him straight in the eye. "You just got the truth out, Mr. Bell. I hope you are prepared for its consequences." Nathan didn't go straight home. He left the courthouse and got into the car, but did not turn on the engine. He just sat there, staring out the windshield, where raindrops were slowly trickling down as if someone was erasing an old code, line by line. The whole truth was on the flash drive that the agents took. For the first time in years, he didn't know what would happen next. His system was working, and it was scary. Because this time she didn't catch her wife, her colleague, or an ordinary criminal, and the one who once worked in the shadow of the system itself. The phone rang, an unfamiliar number. "Mr. Bell? This is Agent Kalin, Internal Cybersecurity Department. We would like to thank you for the materials provided. But there is also news. I'm listening. We have reason to believe that Shield's actions were part of a larger scheme. He didn't just frame Javier. He used access to clinics to build data output channels, including medical profiles of military veterans. Did he sell the data? We believe that part of the scheme is trading profiles to create fictitious patients and launder budget funds. And your logs are the first real chain that confirms the structure. Nathan closed his eyes. Everything was getting even bigger. Are you in danger? Not yet, the agent replied. But I have to warn you. You have become a target. Someone has already looked through your old recordings. Even the home Wi-Fi was attacked from the outside. You need to strengthen your digital protection, and maybe a physical one. Nathan hung up. Then I turned on the laptop monitor again. The first command he typed was traceback greater than local, greater than access.root.verify. The results came almost immediately. An attempt to connect to his system was made the day before at 2:43 a.m. The route is encrypted. The signature partially matches what was on the IP channel at Javier's clinic. Shields wasn't alone, or he's back, or someone continues to work. In the evening, when he returned home, something seemed wrong. The door lock is slightly stretched as if it has been tried but not completely cracked. The interior is in order, but the laptop in the kitchen was slightly shifted. The folder with papers is open on a different sheet than he left. He walked around the house. No footprints, no sounds. Just the absence of the usual silence. He called the police. The examination took 15 minutes. No break-in was detected. No prints, no damage. But Nathan knew it wasn't a robbery. It was a warning. 2 hours later, Agent Kalen was already at his house. They're careful, and they haven't broken the law yet. But I'm afraid it won't last long. Shields? It's either him or whoever's following in his footsteps now. We're looking into it. What should I do? The agent took out a list. Set up a local digital trap. Record everything that goes through your Wi-Fi. Add physical cameras. Here's the equipment. We'll connect it right now. And most importantly, don't act alone. If you keep working, and we know you won't stop, do it with us. Nathan nodded dumbly. His house became a laboratory. Cables, servers, and a local network disconnected from the external network. The system was coming to life. By midnight, everything was ready. The cameras were working. The network is under guard. All connections are in the logs. He returned to the archives, and I saw something new. Letter, untraceable, from an anonymous service. Do you think Shields was the last one? Protocol 17 is running. You've only seen the surface. No signature, no links. Just the phrase in the attachment. A file with the label Patient Batch Export 17 Log. He started the analysis. A minute later, the result. Hundreds of lines. The names. Age, condition, payment routes. But among them is a line that he did not expect to see. Name, Dana Bell. Status, archived. Code, disabled. He froze. Someone was digging through the old stuff in a very personal way. And Protocol 17 was just beginning. He didn't sleep all night. The filed Patient Batch Export 17 log turned out to be more than just a report. He was the key. The hidden segment, encrypted according to the old medical standard, contained a second table with aliases, withdrawal routes, and card loading locations. In line 47 is the first direct trace. Alias, Watcher 17. Sessions, active. Last connection, 3 hours ago. Location, hidden via GOV server. He connected to a secure interface that he had never used publicly before. Only twice during the entire operation did the system catch anonymous sessions in real time. This one was the third. A chat appeared on the screen. Self-starting, no logins, just the cursor and the text. Watcher 17. You're going the wrong way. Get back to the safe zone. Nathan. I don't work for warnings, only on logs. Watcher 17. Then read, you are the next target. Not physically, digitally. We'll disconnect you from the systems, from contracts, from reputation. Nathan. Why me? Watcher 17. Because you were out of the game, and now you're a variable, too accurate, too persistent. The connection was cut off. He saved the dialogue, recorded the IP log, and encrypted it in an offline archive. Then I sat down and opened my personal journal, for the first time in many years. Compose. The system doesn't just identify. She's engaging. And if you're building a filter, be prepared to go through it yourself. The next morning, he sent a letter to Kaylin. I'm continuing. Deeper. Don't cover for me. Give me the resources. Otherwise, we will all lose. Double asterisk. The word official in Agent Kaylin's message was haunting. The next morning, Nathan woke up before dawn. He knew that now he was not just an observer, but a participant. Protocol 17 was not just a scheme, he was the system. Introverted, smart, built on blurring responsibility. And now his name was in her way. By 9 a.m., he was already in Washington. An urgent call to the Central Analytical Center for Cybersecurity. He was greeted not as an outsider, but as a participant. They took me to a windowless room with 2 monitors and a tablet. Agent Kaylin was there. Sit down. We only have 2 hours. Then everything will switch back to gray mode. What are we watching? The structure. We have found fragments of the protocol infrastructure 17. It is a distributed network. Financial, medical, and logistical. He works through fictitious patients, fake addresses, and pseudo-medical institutions. The whole system is designed so that the reports match reality by 70%. The rest is a cipher and a shadow. How's she holding up? Through weak points, government tenders, insurance programs, registration for remote medical appointments. The bases are intertwined. Nathan stared at the screen. It was just like in his own systems, just the opposite. Where he was looking for order, there was the precision of chaos. How many victims? We don't know. The current sample consists of 8,300 names, but it can be dozens of times more. The money goes to accounts opened for the deceased. The addresses match the empty apartments. There is a trail behind each point, but the trail is false. Who controls it? It's not clear yet, but we have 2 surnames. You know one. Nathan looked up. Who? Dana Bell. He recoiled. Is she in? Not now, but there are her signatures in the protocol archive. Routes created during the years when she was still working at Valerie Marketing. Some of the charts resemble her old reports in structure. Did she build them? Or she trained those who built it? Nathan was silent. For the first time, he felt neither anger nor fear, but almost sadness. It all started as a personal defense. Then it's like saving someone else's name. And now he was facing the past again, which would not let him go. What do you want from me? Kaylin turned on the tablet. The object registry is displayed on the screen. All marked. Verification of the probability of inclusion in Protocol 17. We need you to find the main node, the one who coordinates. His name is hidden, but the style is not. You have a unique thing. You could read logs like biographies. Read it and find out who's writing between the lines. Nathan picked up his tablet and dived into the registry. Each entry looked flawless, as if it had gone through 1,000 checks. But he knew where to look for weakness, repetitive actions, micro shifts in time, route patterns. 2 hours later, he raised his head. There is one node. Repeats in 38% of the entries. Always at different times, but according to the same scheme. First, the creation of a fictitious patient, then the transfer of money to a regional account, and after 72 hours, the outflow to an external address. The coordinates are constantly changing, but the structure remains. Do you have a name? Only the signature is M.Gray. Killeen frowned. We saw that mark in the Shields case, but they didn't know that it was duplicated. It's not a human being, it's a system, or a user working under a profile. How to find it? Nathan smiled, for the first time in a long time, sincerely. We will create a trap patient record. Everything will be right in it. But with one feature, a built-in logical conflict. Those who will process it will not notice, but the system will notice. And then we will track the route in real time. Quailin nodded. And how soon can this be done? I'm already doing it. He took out his laptop. He launched a fake patient profile. Name, James Kreider. Age, 52. Diagnosis, neurogenic hypotension. Address, a non-existent house in Oklahoma. Payment route, allegedly through an insurance company. But in one line he wrote the code. If dot route bypass true return echo origin ID. This code did not exist in the system, but if someone tries to use routing, that signal will be sent back to the IP source. He looked at the screen. It's done. And now? We are waiting. The system doesn't like people looking at it. But she doesn't know how not to respond. A line flashed on the screen. The route is active. The transfer to an external address has begun. Nathan braced himself. He knew that within an hour he could find out the truth. Or get another threat. And this time, from the one who was hiding behind all the others. 47 minutes after the trap was activated, the system gave a signal. The data row has changed. For the first time, bypassing all internal routes. The M-Gray log tried to process James Kreider's patient, but the code echo $origin ID worked and returned a response. An address appeared on Nathan's screen. A secure node registered to a neutral server in Singapore, previously owned by one of the marketing platforms. He immediately realized that this was not an accident. He entered a direct request by breaking through the VPN layer. The answer came instantly. mgray/module active, version 3.7-B-Dana. Initiated Q42020. Owner tag redacted. Nathan froze. He knew that style. These tags, this is the structure of the version name. That's what she wrote. That's how they made reports when they worked together. And he, albeit indirectly, helped her debug the module. Dana wasn't just in the chain. She helped build an AI that coordinates fraud. Kalen, he said. It's not a human being. This is a module. He's alive. He's learning. He's adapting. We knew that some of the attacks were coordinated by artificial intelligence, but they did not suspect that it was built on someone's personal architecture. That's her style, her signature. She wrote when she worked at Valerie, and then someone used her designs, or maybe she's back. Nathan looked at the corner of the room. Where was the folder that started it all? Where was the note from her? I want to help. Or maybe she's still inside. He realized that the next step was not a technical one. He had to meet Dana again. Meeting Dana again after all that had happened seemed impossible. But Nathan knew that his system had identified more than just a digital coordinator. She found a module with her signature in the code. Not theft, creation. He contacted Kaylin. I have to talk to her. Why? Because she's not just an X, she is an architect, even if it's not conscious. She may know who activated the module and how, or where the man we've been chasing for so long is hidden. It's a risk. It's true. A day later, they arranged a meeting. Surveillance room, empty walls, glass in the ceiling. Dana came in no longer in orange, but in civilian clothes. Released under supervision, in witness status, not the accused yet. Hey, Nathan. He didn't answer. I just turned on my tablet. On the screen, graphs, chains, a string. Version 3.7b, Donna. She looked at it, and for the first time she turned pale. You found out. Is that you? Pause. She sat down. She didn't look up for a long time. It's not really me. This is the code that I once wrote. At Valerie, we created an optimization tool, a model that learned from medical streams. She was supposed to help the insurance systems, reduce leaks. But then, the contract changed hands. I left, but the code remained. Did you know it was activated? Minus no. But in prison, I heard fragments. The girl was talking about the gray coordinator. I thought it was a rumor. It was a module. It's still working, and he's the key. She looked straight at him. Do you want me to stop him? I want you to help me break it. The two of them worked together for the first time in many years, in a room with 2 terminals, 2 chairs, and no past. He gave her a login to the simulator of his system. She wrote the first lines in silence, as if she had never forgotten the syntax, and he remembered why he had once trusted her with access to everything. Here, she said an hour later, it is not directly active, but if you submit an erroneous request, it will start repairing itself, as if alive. So it has a behavioral algorithm? Yes, and we can embed conflict there. They have built a template, a chain that will make the module think that it has entered an environment with endless duplication. In such circumstances, the AI must shut down, in order not to create an avalanche of false data. It's like a neural trap, Dana said. We don't destroy, we're isolating. It will turn itself off so as not to harm the system. And who would have thought, Nathan grinned. You will save what you once destroyed. She didn't answer. She just looked at him in a way she hadn't looked at him since she said, I've found someone who makes me happy. Now there was no happiness, no revenge, just a job. And it's true, they activated the trap at 4:17. 7 minutes later, silence. The signal went dead. The module has stopped. The last route is closed. He's gone, she said softly. Temporarily. But now we know how. She went to the door. She stopped for a second. I'm sorry, he didn't answer. When she came out, he was left alone. There is silence in the system. Algorithms are in my head. There's an emptiness in my heart, but there is victory in the logs. The system was working, and this time it's not for protection, it's for the sake of forgiveness. A week later, the court reinstated Javier. All charges have been dropped. In the boardroom, he stood in a simple white shirt and smiled for the first time in a real way. You saved me, he said to Nathan. And I almost stopped believing that the system can protect someone. It's not a system, Nathan replied. These are the people who make her honest. Colleen relayed the latest update. More than 20 routes have been blocked. The federal case is closed. Module M.Gray is archived. Its architecture is blacklisted. But with a caveat, one of the best examples of adaptive AI, which has been working for almost 3 years without failures. It was a machine designed for optimization, but used for destruction, the agent said. It happens with any intelligence. Even human ones, Nathan replied. He returned to Norfolk. I sold an old laptop, rewrote all the safety rules. I switched to teaching, full-time only. No more system, only people. One morning he received a letter, without a signature. Inside is a line of code. If dot system hurt equals true, then forgive equals possible. He closed the screen, and for the first time in 5 years, he left the house without checking a single log. The system was working, but now it's not for protection, but for the sake of life.